Did y'all know that the Holy Father was on Twitter? He tweets. And when I was preparing this homily, I found a tweet that he did, and it was some time ago, but the tweet said, "The sheep that belong to me listen to my voice, and I know them." And then he says, "The voice of Jesus is unmistakable. It guides us along the path of life. My sheep hear my voice. They know me." And then the gospel says, "And they follow me." How awesome is that, right? Words from our Holy Father. But it makes you wonder, right? Because you see, I used to do this exercise with some of the kids in the parish before, and I used to ask them in the CCD class, I said, before you came here today, and you can ask yourselves, I don't want anyone to raise their hands, but before you came here today, did you pray? And if you say no, which some of the kids would say no, and I'd say, okay, well, did you watch TV today? Well, then you love TV more than you love God. Did you eat today? And they'd say, well, of course I did. I say, well, then you love food more than you love God. Did you go outside and do whatever you enjoy today? And they said, yeah. I said, well, then you love that more than you love God. Whatever we do that takes the place of our prayer, we put before God. You see, we have to pray every day. Because as Catholic Christians, we are called to this intimate relationship with Jesus Christ, not just a personal relationship. He has to be a part of our life every day, or we can't really hear His voice. You see, if we don't speak to Him, how do we expect Him to speak to us? Right? In today's gospel, Jesus tells us, He says, my sheep hear my voice. So when do we stop and listen? You see, one of my favorite phrases, and you're going to get tired of hearing me say this, but I'm going to say it until it catches on, is from St. Francis de Sales. St. Francis de Sales says that everyone needs a half an hour of prayer every day, unless you're busy. Then you need an hour. He tells us how much more important it is for us to have that relationship with God than it is to do anything else in our lives. And if we can say, if we dare to say that I am too busy to pray, then we're too busy to do anything else. Right? We're too busy to have a life because we're too busy to share that part of that life with God. And that's what Jesus is telling us. My sheep hear my voice, and they know me. But how can we hear His voice if we're never in conversation with Him? So if we don't pray every day, if we don't have a daily prayer life, I challenge you to begin. See, because I don't know anybody that doesn't, right? But if you don't, I challenge you to begin. Start by 5 minutes a day. When you get up in the morning, the first thing you do is you say the Our Father, Hail Mary, and the Glory Be. Just with that. Begin with that. And you're going to find how much hunger you have. That's going to start the appetite for us to grow more in knowledge of our faith. That's going to start us on the journey to be able to hear Jesus' voice every day in our lives. Because if we don't take the time to speak to Him, how can we take the time to listen? You see, if we only come to Mass on the weekend, if we only come and spend an hour with Jesus once a week, then we know about Him. And I'm going to tell you, if this is all you do is come to Mass, don't stop. Please don't stop. Come to Mass. But take the challenge and pray at least 5 minutes a day. And before you know it, you're going to have that half an hour. You're going to be able to understand and know that when you miss that prayer in the morning, that it's just like missing that first cup of coffee. Because Jesus Christ is going to become more important in your life. And that's what it has to be. It's not a personal relationship. It's an intimate relationship. That we need to speak to Him every day of our lives, so that we can hear His voice. And like I said, if we only come to Mass on the weekend, then we know about Him. But we can't truly know Him. You see, when like me coming into a new parish, I am learning about people. And I'm starting to know some of the people. But it takes time. And it's the same thing with our relationship with Jesus. He wants us to put Him first in our lives. He wants us to have that conversation with Him every day, so that what He says in the gospel can be true in our lives. My sheep hear my voice, and they know me. With all the noises, with all the things that go on in the world, with all the distractions, can we pick out Jesus' voice in all of that? The only way to do that is to have that relationship with Him, to pray daily, and sometimes just to sit down and listen, to spend some time in silence, listening to what He has to tell us. Jesus Christ is calling us to that intimate relationship. Are we ready to answer the call? Or should I say, can we hear that call?